to everybody. I see Cognitive up in here, so shout out to Cognitive and Monty as well too. Shout out to you guys up in the space. Definitely go ahead and tweet the space out. We're about to get this thing rolling. For my people coming in YouTube, guys, make sure y'all go ahead and click that notification bell. Also, go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share out the night's broadcast. Go ahead, like, and leave a comment. We're going to be talking about the Jonathan Majors trial. Jonathan Majors was found guilty today of assault and harassment. And we're going to have reaction from our people over here on the X/Twitter space podcast as well too. So you're gonna get live reaction from a lot of people over here as well too. Interested to hear what people got to say about what's going on in this situation. It's definitely a tough day for him and his family. I saw his mom leaving the courtroom. I know a lot of people keep talking about the video where the actual woman was chasing him, but it is what it is. Apparently, they felt a certain way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch up on the actual article from the Hollywood Reporter shortly after the actual situation dropped. They and plus every other publication has something as well too. Be Nice, what's up with you? What's up with you? Be Nice, I see you over there as well too. As we got people coming in, let me go ahead and touch up on this situation right now. No point of waiting. From the Hollywood Reporter on the Newstoter.com platform as well. It says Creed actor Jonathan Majors found guilty of assault and harassment. A New York jury found Marvel actor Jonathan Majors guilty of reckless assault in a third degree and guilty of harassment. The verdict was reached by a 6-person jury after roughly 4 hours of deliberation spread across 3 days. Jonathan Majors, wearing a gray suit and black dress shirt and tie, sat with his attorneys, with his family members, and his girlfriend Megan Good behind him as the verdict was read. Sentencing is set for February 6th. The charges carry a sentence up to 1 year in prison. On 2 other charges, he was found not guilty of intentional assault in the third degree and not guilty of aggravated harassment in the second degree. In a statement after the verdict, the actor's attorney, Priya Chaudhary, said Majors looks forward to fully clearing his name, implying he may appeal. In total, Majors faced 4 charges of assault, aggravated harassment, and harassment after he called 911 on March 25th when he said he found his ex-partner, Grace Jabreri, unconscious in their apartment. Police arrested Majors after finding apparent injuries on the woman, including a laceration behind her ear and a bruised and fractured finger. Majors pleaded not guilty to all charges. Jabreri, who took the witness stand for the first 4 days of trial, said Majors had caused injuries during the altercation in the car. Several hours before, she testified that the alleged incident occurred in a private car where she saw a text on Majors' phone that read, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." Jabreri says she tried to snatch the phone from Majors, who then pried her finger from the phone, grabbed her arm and her right hand, twisted her forearm, and struck her head to get the phone away from her. The first 3 charges are misdemeanor offenses and related to alleged incidents in the car. The 4th charge of harassment, which is a violation, the most minor offense among the charges, relates to an allegation that Majors threw Jabreri back into the car as she tried to exit. The defense argued that he placed her back in the car to stop her from running into traffic. The action is captured on surveillance video while altercation inside the car was not captured on camera. The charges against Majors were brought by the state of New York rather than by Jabreri herself. The case was a criminal trial as opposed civil, meaning the burden of proof is higher for the jury, who had to find proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on each charge. The arrest has already had implications on what had been the biggest year in Majors' career, which included starring roles in Ant-Man, The Wasp, Creed 3, Loki Season 2. In the wake of his arrest, both his publicity firm, the Liddy Company, and managers at Management 360 dropped him, and the Disney-owned Searchlight Features removed Magazine Dreams from its release calendar. In a statement after the verdict, Ross Kramer, an attorney for Jabreri, said that they hope the guilty verdict inspires other victims of assault. "We are gratified to see justice served by today's guilty verdict," the statement read. Mr. Jabreri testified publicly and truthfully, even through reliving these traumatic events on the witness stand was obviously painful. We're grateful to the juries and the judge for their attention and patience, to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for their hard work and support. Mr. Jabreri's resolve to see this case through to the end demonstrates her tremendous strength and resilience. Unfortunately, for every survivor like her who comes forward to hold their abuser accountable, there are many others who believe they cannot. We hope that her actions will inspire other survivors to speak their truth and seek justice. Kramer's statement added. During the trial, prosecutors approached this as a case of domestic violence, while the defense repeatedly called her credibility into question and positioned it as an ex-revenge. Majors appeared in person every day of the 2-week trial with Good and family members in attendance. He did not testify during the trial and showed little emotion except for tearing up during the closing state arguments from his attorney, Chaudhry, as she said, his fear what happens when a black man in America calls 911 came true. As part of his defense, Chaudhry claimed Jabari was the aggressor in the car, pointing to the fact that Major's coat was ripped and that Jabari is seen on surveillance video running after Majors down the street after the initial alleged altercation in the car. Jabari said that she ran after him to find out who sent the text. Chaudhry further argued Jabari was uninjured after leaving the car and had gone revenge partying at a club where she brought champagne on Major's credit card while still being able to use her right hand, which she said had been injured. Jabari testified that she had sought help from 3 strangers on the street after the first altercation in the car, and they had invited her to a club, which she accepted in order to seek comfort at the alleged incident. Chaudhry implied that Jabari had injured herself later after drinking throughout the evening and then returning to their shared apartment and taking sleeping pills. Majors, who had stayed at a hotel after leaving the car, returned to the apartment in the morning and called 911 after reporting that he had found Jabari unconscious. In addition to the video surveillance footage, which is also included footage of Jabari at the club, evidence shown to the jury by the prosecutors included photos Jabari took of her bruised hand and laceration behind the ear while back at the apartment, and body cam footage from officers when they arrived. Prosecutors also introduced a series of texts into evidence which could prove damaging to Major's reputation as they pertain to several alleged incidents that happened during the course of Major and Jabari's relationship. Prosecutors allege a pattern of abuse, which they said explained why Jabari had not immediately told police officers that Major had caused the injuries. In one of the texts sent by Majors and Jabari in September 2022, Majors appeared to dissuade Jabari from seeking medical attention from an injury. How she sustained the injury was not discussed. They will ask you questions, and I don't think you actually protect us. It could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie. They suspect something Majors wrote. The texts were initially deemed inadmissible, but then were able to be shown by prosecutors to jury members following the line of cross-examination. Questions from Major's defense team that the judge, Michael Gaffey, said lacked specifics. Prosecutors also played a recording Jabari she made of Majors during an earlier argument in September 2022 in which the actor admonished Jabari for drinking and then returning to their home with her friend and said she needs to live up to the standards of Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama, adding of himself, "I am a great man." Members of the jury were instructed to view this as a background information rather than evidence propensity to commit a crime. After the verdict was reached, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg weighed in at Manhattan DA's office. "We are committed to centering survivors in all of our work. The evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse and escalating patterns of persuading far too common across many intimate partner violence cases we see each day. Today, a jury determined that the pattern of abuse culminated with Mr. Majors assaulting and harassing his girlfriend. We thank the jury for his service and the survivor for bravely telling her story despite having to relieve her trauma on the stand." What's up to everybody coming up in the space? As you guys all know, and shout out to my man over there on YouTube. I see Professor over there in the house, so shout out to you, Professor. As you guys already see, like this case was actually played out in the court of public opinion as well too. Apparently, in the same night that they had actually, and she had been so violently abused, she went out to the actual club. They were talking about that her finger was fractured and this and that or whatever, but she actually went out to the club, was partying, was drinking champagne, was using his credit card to have a good old time as well too. She told people that she was basically going out there because she was invited, and I guess this is a way of soothing herself and calming herself down or whatever. Majors has already been dropped by his major backers, Disney and Marvel. They've cut ties with him. It's going to be really, really hard for Jonathan Majors to ever really get into the public eye in terms of major productions. Now he may be able to come up on the independent scene, but in terms of having like these major studios behind him, I think that pretty much is over with. Like I said, he's been pretty much in the terms of, being up there in the public's eye, whatever, it's a done deal for him. So he has, I think they say February 6th is when the actual sentencing, they say he could, the charges carry it up to 1 year sentence in prison. There's a talk that he may possibly even appeal the actual verdict, which is going to be hard. You only had 6 people on the actual jury. It wasn't your regular 12 jury. I thought that the case could potentially, I thought a guilty verdict was definitely more leaning that way, but I thought that potentially you could have a mistrial. I thought that you might even potentially have a second trial in this case right here, but that didn't go that way. And at this point in time, and I've seen a bunch of different tweets online, talking about this story right here. As a matter of fact, I think I put the actual, I believe I put a poll. We took a poll up here, and I put that poll up here today. It's on the right-hand side, guys. And I think it's got 32 votes. It says, do you agree with the guilty verdict in the Jonathan Majors case? 6% says yes. 88% says no. 6% says not sure. 0% at this point says maybe. You guys get a chance. It's up in the Jumbotron. It's on the right. On the right side of the actual Jumbotron. Go ahead and cast your vote. Let us know exactly how you feel. Freeman, I know earlier, as soon as I tweet the space out, you responded to this as well, too. You FOH. And I think we already know what exactly that means. And like I said, but honestly, was this really surprising? Because I've been looking at the news leading up to this actual trial and everything else. And, it was always stuff dropping here and there. There was reports that, and there were some people trying to say that, hey, she was, given as good as she was getting, if that's the case or whatever, there was talk that she was actually putting her hands on him and stuff like that. That never materialized in the actual courtroom. That never materialized. If she was actually doing anything to him, that was never talked about. For the most part, it was seen that, hey, he was the aggressor. And I think I saw something on CBS Evening News as well, too, when they was trying to say that the lady was saying that, hey, because of his size and his strength and everything else like that, basically, even if he was trying to, refrain her from doing anything, that basically his strength and his size caused these injuries. So, yeah, he is at fault. Like I say, Jonathan Majors is 34 years old. You see him with Megan Good. And that's all nice and well, but unfortunately for him, his career, he had just came up. He had a monumental run, but just like that, it's pretty much over with. And I was talking to my son earlier, and I was telling him, like, hey, you got to be careful, especially with these interracial relationships, son. If you ever get in one of these interracial relationships and you're dating a white woman, anytime that woman says anything, they're gonna look at you. You're gonna be guilty until proven innocent. Now, you can only tell people this stuff. They have to go ahead and actually, live it themselves or whatever. But unfortunately for Jonathan Majors, this is the verdict today. Guilty. I see Be Nice over there on YouTube. He says Dana White slapped his wife and nothing. Yeah, Dana White slapped his wife, but the cops didn't come and do anything about it. But here's the thing too. She actually wasn't the one. It was actually the state of New York that actually went ahead and took this and ran with it. The state of New York was the one that actually, took these charges up, and, they weren't about to let it go. They saw the name. They saw this as being a high-profile situation, and they also saw this as a way to go ahead and, make an example out of him, and he was made an example out of as well, too. So, it was no chance for her to drop the charges and not pursue this or go further. The state of New York took it up, and they ran with it. And this is what we got today as well, too. So, and I definitely want to hear what the women got to say. I know my girl Aunt Lai was up in the space early, and I know Aunt Lai, I know you've been you've been definitely against Jonathan Majors as well, too, because you felt that, hey, I guess he was swirling or whatever. So I definitely want to hear what you got to say on this situation that transpired, because I know you exactly weren't too keen on the actual the whole entire I don't know if it was just because he was dating a white woman or whatever, but nonetheless, it is what it is. We see straight out. I see you with the smiley face down there. So you get a chance, come on up here as well, too, guys. And shout out to everybody up in the space. Shout out to Original. I know Original is going to come up here and drop some knowledge tonight, guys. For those over there on YouTube, you see the title of the actual broadcast. It says Jonathan Majors found guilty of assault and harassment. Live reaction from social media. So our people over there, they want to hear live reaction, guys. They want to hear exactly what you got, because that's the title over there in the YouTube. It's saying live reaction. So they want to hear what people in the social media realm have to say about this actual case, the situation, everything that went down. They asked Jonathan Major's mom as she was leaving the courtroom today, do you think your son got a fair trial? She didn't say a word. She just walked past him. You know, she kind of, I'm sure she had to bite her tongue. You know, I'm sure she was not happy. And like I say, just another situation that I don't really think that he's going to really be able to come back from, not in terms of his career on that level. Like I said, I think he'll independent films, black films, that kind of stuff. I think he can make a way there. But in terms of being the leading man, in terms of being his action hero, in terms of being an A-lister that he was in Hollywood, it's safe to say that time is probably that time is probably gone. I don't see that happening again or whatever. I could be wrong, and I know time heals all wounds and stuff, but I have a hard time believing that you're gonna see Jonathan Majors leading the way on any major production at this point in time, in terms of a major Hollywood studio backing him. And who knows, I would even think that somebody like Tyler Perry, who is major, would probably even shy away from him as well too. What's up, Ray? I see you up here, and I see my girl Jess Cakes up here. So shout out to y'all being the first to come on up here, and let us see what you think. Ray, what's up? Let me know what you think about this situation.
What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna be real brief. So, very talented brother. I'm sorry this happened to him, but I'll be honest with you. I gotta ask the question: how many more brothers have to be hemmed up with these Karens and these other white women before they learn their lesson? And I'm gonna land right there.
All right, Ray. You said that was gonna be short and quick, and you weren't lying like that. You got right to the point. Hey, it's one of those things that it continues to happen. So I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. You see sometimes online, you see the actual pictures and you see the caption, like you see a bunch of brothers, a couple brothers on the yacht, and you see a bunch of white chicks on there, and they say something like the milk yacht or something like that as well too. So I don't see it changing anytime soon or whatever. I got my girl Jess Case coming up here, and I'm glad we get to hear her sister's point of view early in the actual space as well too. Jess Cakes, what's going on with you?
Hey, Newstoter. Hey, fam.
What's up?
I liked the broadcast on YouTube already, and I shared out this one. As far as this, I don't think his career is done per se. I think they're gonna make him really as if he could go no lower. I think they're gonna do what's that called? The ritual where they just embarrass him. He got to do like the worst and just do the most to try to come back. As far as the guilty verdict, serves him right. I mean, how many black towns and everything else got burnt down dealing with the white women lives, Emmett Till and all the other brothers that's been accused of stuff. I know somebody personally who was on track to go to the NFL. He had college football scholarship and everything else. Cheated on his Caucasian girlfriend, and next thing you know, he's being accused of rape and rape. My bad. He's been accused of the worst thing that you could be accused of in a predominantly white town. So of course, that boy has a background. His future was done. So it's just like no matter how much you try to teach them and tell them that that's not the way. And I'm not even being like biased towards the men, because for the girls that kept on going to the nail shops and the salons and stuff after the Asians was kicking off in their behind, and they kept on going and buying the weaves and getting their nails done and all this other stuff, I had the same energy. If you're going to keep on giving them service, you're going to keep on going to those people to get abused, who am I to say something? Obviously, you're okay with it. Same thing with Jonathan Majors. You chose what you wanted. And it's only a matter of time before, what's the Michael B. Jordan with his fake relationship with the black girls for now? It's going to all come around full circle. And that's just my opinion. Okay? Because that's all we all have is our opinion. So I Freeman and study putting the thumbs down like I care. But that's my opinion. He's welcome to give his.
All right, thank you, sister. Yeah, Freeman, I don't know why Freeman was giving a thumb down, so maybe Freeman will come up here and let us know why he was giving a thumb down. But you said Michael B. Jordan. I've never known Michael B. Jordan to date outside his race, though.
He loves white girls. He only started when they came out with him being with nothing but white girls. It was put out that you only noticed he was only with white girls. Then he manufactured a relationship with Lori Harvey, the doorknob of the industry. You know, everybody gets a turn with her. And then you start seeing him with black girls. But all that time, you've always seen Michael B. Jordan with white girls or non-black girls.
Okay, well, thank you for keeping me on the in the relationship thing, because I didn't know that, because the only one I really known that he had went with was Lori Harvey. So you're right, Lori Harvey. She dates. I'm not going to disrespect the sister, but she's quite the dater. I put it that way as well too. My man Professor over there and YouTube Professor says it's best for the brothers to leave these Karens alone. Hey, my man was sitting up here. He was doing a Carl Lewis. He was trying to run away from her. You know, I don't. Hey, listen. I know every case is different. I'm not going to sit up here, and I'm definitely not going to make light of the situation. But you know, if she was, you know, for somebody had just they said was just abused. I'm just trying to figure out why she was actually running behind the dude or whatever. You think she'd be running the opposite direction and trying to get help, screaming help, 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 help. But she was actually running behind him. He booking. Of course, they showed the scene where he actually was picking up in the car, picking up and putting her back in the car. From what he was saying, he was trying to keep her from getting hit by traffic or whatever, running or whatever. But they use that as a way of saying that, you know, he was doing this, he was doing that as well. So just a crazy, strange situation, to be honest. Like I said, this is something that a lot of people thought could have been thrown out of court. You knew it wasn't going to be thrown out of court once New York went ahead and took up the actual case. New York was looking for a conviction. New York was looking. The only way he could have got up out of here is he would have had to take a plea bargain. If he'd have said, you know what, yeah, I did it or whatever, then, you know, the situation, he still would have had this surrounding him or whatever. I think that he thought that deep down inside he could fight and he might be able to actually overcome it. But, you know, the odds were stacked up against him. And like I said, we're not making light of the situation. We're not making light of victims, anything like that. So I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. But there was there were more holes in this case than Swiss cheese, to be honest. And the fact of the matter is that, like I said, there are a lot of things that it seemed that could have helped him out. They kind of didn't really focus on it. Her credibility was a big issue in this case, and they kind of went completely the opposite way from it. It was like, hey, it was like, hey, we're not gonna let y'all. She's a victim, and we're not gonna let you shame the victim and this and that. So, you know, everything, he had an uphill battle, to be real about it. Go ahead, Just Cakes, and anybody else up in the space as well too, man. Come on up here, because like I say, people definitely want to hear. We want to hear Black America's view on this whole situation here. I definitely want to hear some sisters, but I also want to hear some brothers as well too. We got ready to come up here. I want to hear people's point of view, what they think about it. Original, when you get a chance, definitely come up here. I might even send you an invite, because I know you drop major knowledge as well too. So you're an elder and you've seen it all, and you know this ain't no walk in the park. We pretty much know when these type of situations happen, and if you got an interracial relationship and the minute something goes sideways, yeah, you got to watch yourself. But Just Case, go ahead and rock it. You got it.
Yeah, he was definitely running for his life on that. If I ever seen anybody running like he was, and I'm not making light of it, the man was literally running for his life. He knew what time it was. But it's the audacity too for me that he told this white woman that he needed him a Coretta Scott or Michelle Obama, and he was trying to get that from this lady here. It's the audacity for me. It's the grand delusions for me. And it's amazing. It's not amazing, but it's just, it doesn't get past me that everything's coming back full circle. Not that it never really got far away from this. The fact that white women can tell a tale so obviously false and lie on a black man, and he still be convicted for it. You know, it's just like more things change, the more things stay the same, and it's just like it's coming back around to that, even though we never really got away from it. And I just landed there. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sister. I definitely, like I say, I'm glad to hear one sister's point of view in this, and I know maybe some of my other sisters, when they get a chance, they'll come up here as well too, and let us know how you feel about the situation. And Friedman, when you get a chance to come on up here too, I want you to come up here. I know you'll drop something as well too. Black majority states. Shout out to you, Claudia. I see you up in here, Miss D, Goddess. It's a bunch of y'all up in here, and I know, Goddess, you don't really speak that much. Every now and then you'll come up here, but you guys, like I said, if you got something you want to add to the conversation, I definitely would love to hear it. Let me go ahead and get to my man, Original. Original, what's going on tonight? Oh, because I was gonna say, yeah, you really low tonight, Original. You got a headset on?
Yeah, let me see if I can fix this real quick. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a lot better.
Okay. But yeah, this is crazy. You know, and you know what though? These white folks, they sent their little trashy white girls after these boys. The old building I worked in, and this guy who used to replenish our vending machine, and somehow he and I, you know, he's a white guy, and somehow we started, you know, having a conversation with each other. But what he told me, he said that his daughter was dating a top football player on the football team, which is in Paulding County, which is west of Atlanta. And then one day he said it was a black boy. And he said, oh yeah, you come to the house all the time and blah, 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 blah. But what really shocked me was he said, and they've already had sex. I'm like, what the hell? You bragging about your high school age daughter having sex? See, these people, they know what they're doing. They go after these high-profile black folks, and they in the hope that their daughter can get pregnant, and then that's a check for them for like at least 18 years. So they know what they're doing, and I don't get this thing with this. And it's not just Jonathan Major. It's like what Miss Cakes was saying. These people, it's like Shahrazad Ali said. What she call it? She called it the package or something like that. They become famous in Hollywood. They go out and they get a white girl. But see, here's what's so jacked up about it. They want us to take our disposable income and support them in what they're doing, not understanding that if they marry this piece of garbage, she is their next of kin. And it's not just poor people, but a lot of rich people die without a will. And that said you die intestate. And then when these people die, that's their next of kin, and that's who get everything that they own. Their next of kin. And see, people are looking at it from that standpoint. But see, these people need to understand that if you're dating outside the race, do not look for me to support you. I mean, you get what you get because you should have known better. The only white people will never change. The only thing that they change are their tactics. That's it. That's the only thing that they change. And I keep telling people, I said, look, y'all need to understand. Y'all need to understand this. Nigga, oh, that's that old time. Okay, fine. And then you turn around for a few months later, they jacked up. Don't look at me now, because I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't want anything to do with you. Because see, when people try to tell you something, you don't want to listen. So you're gonna have to deal with it the best way you can, and that's how I see it with with Jonathan Majors. And see, when I say it's just not Jonathan Majors, see, these people are only in this for what they can get out of it. Remember this? What's that boy's name? Michael Samms or something like that. He was that black football player that came out as being gay.
Yeah, the black football player.
Yeah, but see what he did also. He had him a little white boy. But what he did to his father, it would just be, I can't forgive. He deserved what he got. Because what he did was his mother and father had been supporting him all these years, traveling, at high school and college, going to see him play, a ball. He texted his father instead of calling him and talking to him or say, can we meet? I need to have a conversation with you. He texted his father and told his father he was gay. And I don't think his father came to any more of those football games. And so what happened is, once his money was gone, the little white boy was gone too, just like them white girls. Once that money is gone, they skip because they are only in it for the money. And see, these people, they think they're getting something by being around these white folks. No, they are parasites. They're only around you to leech off of you, to drain you of what you have. And it doesn't matter the relationship. And that's how I see it. Because I'm like this. Once I know that they're not dating or married to somebody that's black, I don't support their ventures. Because I would not allow my money to be used to keep the enemy in the life of luxury. And I hope other people have that same sentiment, because at some point, we have to stop. I mean, people are free to do whatever they want. It is their choice. Fine, no problem. And we are free to do that same thing. So we don't owe you our support. Because if you're going to continue to marry the enemy, why in the hell would we help you keep them in the life of luxury? It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I leave these people alone. I quit. I get quit.
Hey, Original, I think you moved your mic or something because the volume went down.
Hold on. Turn back on. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but these people, hold on. Let me see.
Now you good now.
Okay. Let me turn this Bluetooth off. But yeah, man, that's what it is, though. See, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live. Live however you choose to live. It is your choice. But just understand, there are consequences when you decide not to affiliate with somebody that look like you, and you're going to go to the enemy, knowing that these people have never treated us right. Knowing this. Like I said, they don't. The only thing that they change are their tactics. That's it. And so if you have children, teach your children, girls and boys, that they do not want to date outside their race. They act like it is it's a major come up for the black person. No, it's a come up for them. I mean, you look at Serena Williams. Says she had to teach her husband how to use a washcloth. I'm like, these people are nasty. But yet they go up here and think, and see, even she said that something about white guys treat black women better than black men. I mean, you are a damn lie. And that's when I just quit watching her. I quit. I can't do it anymore. I mean, like I said, they're free to do whatever they want, and I'm free to handle my business in the way that I want. And what I will not do is sit up here and support people that don't want to support us. And I'm going to land with that.
All right. Appreciate that, Original. I'm going to say this right here, Original. If you look at TV and I look at TV, when you look at these commercials now, pretty much all of these commercials have an interracial couple on there. And you see biracial kids on there as well, too. So you'll see a black parent and a white parent, and you'll see a mixed child as well, too. So I don't know if this is going to be going away. Well, in fact, I know this is not going away anytime soon, because like I say, there's not many commercials. Rarely do you see a commercial where you see two black parents on there and a black child. You know, all of these commercials that you see nowadays, they're interracial couples and they're biracial kids. So they're pretty much going ahead and they're pretty much shaping the future for tomorrow. Because if you go ahead and you put this on TV and it constantly gets up in our memory banks and our data and we see it day in and day out, think about the generation of kids and stuff that's coming up now. You know, when everybody was up in this space for the most part, especially if you're in your 30s and 40s on up, you know, when you were growing up, you didn't see that. If you did see a black couple on TV, and like I say, and let's be for real, they didn't want to put a whole bunch of black couples on TV. But if you did see black couples on TV, you know, it was going to be a black man and a black woman. I mean, in the 90s, I can't hardly ever really remember seeing a black man and a white woman together, or a white, a white man and a black woman. So it was always, you know, pretty much within your actual group. Now, like I say, not only that, let's be honest too. You see actually more interracial kids on these commercials than you actually see just regular black kids. So I think they're pretty much already, you know, with the actual the program and everything else that television does, the money they put behind, you know, they're pretty much laying out the next step. And I guess what they consider evolution in the country or whatever is that, hey, you know, we see the actual dynamics of interracial marriage and dating and reproduction and stuff like that. Let's go ahead. Let's put it out there for the next generation, for the ones that's considered what the generation Z and some of the millennials and the ones that the one after generation Z, the alphas. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put that out there for the future generations and let them see that, hey, you know, this is what it is. So I don't think anytime soon, well, I know I shouldn't say think, but it's not going to change anytime soon because it's going to become the norm, you know, and it's pretty much becoming the norm now, just like you see on some of these commercials now. You see, and it never fails when you have like these HIV/AIDS commercials and stuff like that, and they're endorsing this new medicine and stuff up there. It always leads off with two black guys sitting up there kissing and holding hands and everything else like that. You know, stuff that you never saw back in the day. You know, you never saw same sex even on commercials and stuff like that as well too. But that's becoming the norm right there as well too. So whenever they have these HIV/AIDS commercials and stuff like that, you're constantly seeing black men and black couples and stuff, black people being put up there like they're the face of the actual HIV/AIDS medicine and everything else in the actual country as well too. So like I say, it ain't finna change no time. Go ahead next time you see the actual NBA draft, the NFL draft, and you start seeing these guys is getting picked in the first round, and you start seeing their girlfriends and everything else, and you start sometimes. I mean, I think a few years ago they made fun of one of the Alabama players because he had a black dude, this Alabama football player. He was at the they was having you know how they have the gatherings for the NFL draft picks and stuff, and everybody, his girlfriend and everybody that was at that actual function was either white, was white or mixed or whatever. So, you know, he was the only one that was actually really a black person in there. So, and I also remember a few years ago that you had the, I don't know if that was the NBA draft or NFL draft, but you had a black dude that had a white girlfriend and I think the white girl, I don't know if she sat in the boyfriend's lap and the black mama kind of came and gave her a nudge and pretty much like, hey, get up. Like, don't sit in his lap or whatever. So, you know, these are the dynamics that's already being shaped right now as we speak. As we talk about, they're pretty much laying down the groundwork for the future. They're letting you know that, hey, you know, this is what it is. Like I say, you see more interracial kids on these commercials than you actually see black kids. And that's not to denigrate interracial kids, you know, but I'm just being honest. Like, rarely do you see black kids from two black parents on these actual commercials. So that's where we actually land. That's what they actually land the actual groundwork, not now, but for the next 10, 15, 20 years from now, for the people that's going to be growing up and getting in relationships and having kids and getting married and stuff like that. They're not worried about the 30-year-olds. They're worried about the teenagers coming up. Like, hey, this is America. This. Forget about the old way. This is how it is right now. This is the new and improved us. So that's actually shaping the actual future. Another person, I'm gonna kick it to Ray and Original. Think about O.J. Simpson. Think about all the stuff O.J. Simpson's been through. All of the issues O.J. Simpson had in the trial of the century and everything else. Then O.J. he gets He beats the trial of the century. Then my man goes to prison for what 8-9 years for basically getting his own stuff back, So they set him up on that right there. They set him up in Vegas. He goes to jail for 8-9 years, which all black people in the country was pissed off because hey, we went to bat for you, OJ. You beat the system like no other black man has ever beat the system, and then you get caught up on something like this. And then they made an example, something that he should have been at most in prison for maybe 2-3 years. They made an example out of him, and they put him in there for that amount of time just to make an example because they was pissed off because they were like, hey, you got away with murder, so let us go ahead and stick it to you. Now, every time you see OJ on social media and he's chilling with some females, you better believe those females are in their mid-20s, early 30s, all of them blonde, maybe some brunettes sprinkled here and there. And OJ, he likes to kind of throw it back in your face or whatever, but he's like, hey, OJ, if anything should happen, man, sideways again, and I know you 70-something years of age, but if anything should go slightly, sideways, man, these people are going to put you in prison for the rest of your life. So, and OJ went through it. He better than anybody else should exactly know how the thing is or whatever, but it is what it is. Go ahead, Ray, you got it.
And real quick, I believe when OJ got hemmed up, for that charge he got, I believe it was on the anniversary of Nicole and Ron's murder too. So I just wanted to definitely add that. But while you were talking about the whole HIV thing, I just wanted to ask you, I'm not trying to get off subject, if you heard about the Pope same-sex marriages.
Yeah, that's going to be a discussion for tomorrow night as well too. So tomorrow night, join the space, and we're going to be talking about the Pope. We're going to be talking about the Navy Federal, and we're also going to be talking about Rudy Giuliani getting hit with that major lawsuit. The two black women won the lawsuit. So definitely tomorrow night we're going to be discussing that as well, y'all. Let me go ahead and get to original real quick. Let me get to Quadig since he hadn't had a chance to speak, and then I'll come back to you.
Hey, what's up, Toto? What's up, everybody in the room? How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
What's up? Yeah, it's sad to see what happened to Mr. Majors. This also reminds me of Eddie Murphy's saying that there's one thing at a time in Hollywood. It reminds me of that a lot. I guess you can't have Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors going in and taking Hollywood by storm at the same time. It's also confirming my belief and that we should be making our own Hollywood, honestly. To my next point, I'm going on to my next point. I can't tell people who to and who not to date. It's not my business. It's not my business what you do in your own bedroom. It's not my business. But what I can say is this serves as a reminder to all of us that dating outside to be safe isn't a good look, and it just won't work. You won't get a leg up by dating outside. You just won't. We got to get over this internal hate, internal strife that we have. This is a learning lesson for all of us. We need to kill the insecurities that we have when it comes to dating ourselves. Then we need to do the things it takes for us to get rid of those insecurities. One last thing I want to say is, ladies and gentlemen, it is something that, we don't like to hear, but it needs to be said. Sexual discipline is important. Just because you can get with somebody doesn't mean you should. Let's focus on building, quality characteristics in ourselves and getting with each other based on those characteristics. Now, I'm not saying deny going to the gym or looking good, but I think we should focus on quality characteristics for ourselves and get with each other, both of those two. And I'm going to land there.
All right, Quadid. Thank you. You made an interesting point, too, when you said Eddie Murphy said you can only have one nigga in Hollywood at a time. Now, you think about Denzel Washington, who's pushing 70. I believe Denzel's 68. And they talking about Denzel's going to be playing Hannibal. And there's somebody else he was supposed to be in a 300 movie. And I'm sitting up and I'm saying, Denzel Washington is almost 70 years of age. Isn't there some other black actors that deserve to have that opportunity? Denzel Washington's had an A+ career. He's had a Hall of Fame career. but it's always that case when it comes to black people and acting in Hollywood. Like, if it ain't Denzel, then it's Samuel, then it was Morgan Freeman, like it was Wesley. Like you had like 4 or 5 go-to black actors, and then everybody else had to fight for these little roles here and there, whatever. Like, you can't have 20, 30 black actors in Hollywood tearing it up. Like, no, we got to go ahead and we got to recycle the same one. Great actors, don't get me wrong. We have great actresses as well too, because back in the day, Cicely Tyson was the go-to for, like, it was Cicely Tyson. It was always Cicely Tyson. And you had Whoopi Goldberg and what's the one now that played I can't Viola Davis. She's the go-to. She's the go-to one right now and stuff like that. So you always have and for black women, it might even be worse. It might be 2 of them. Like, they'll take 2 of them and recycle them around or whatever. So it's like they can only have a few black people to go ahead and pick from. So I don't understand why Denzel at the age he's at, like, and there's nothing against him, but I mean, I think this would have been a movie for Denzel 15, 20 years ago, but he's pushing 70 years of age. Like, like you say, you got Michael B. and you got these other actors and stuff out there. Why can't they get the actual role? Like, why does Denzel? I mean, like I say, I love Denzel, great actor and everything else as well too. But that's one thing with Hollywood; they're always looking for the next great white superstar or whatever. So they constantly looking, they constantly pulling them up and stuff like that. But black people like, oh well, we got 2 of y'all in the house right now. I don't know if we can fit any more of you. So I definitely agree with you on that. And you're right; you can't tell people who to date, who to love, or whatever. But at the same time, man, there comes a there comes a warning label on this as well too. You got to handle with care. If not, and even if you handle with care, if the apple cart gets turned over, man, you're in a world of hurt right here. So definitely agree with what you said there. DJ, what's up? I see you up in the space as well too. No taxation. What's going on with you? I see Rella down there as well too. And tomorrow night, y'all, like I said, we're gonna be talking about the Navy Federal and the way that they all of the black applicants, they've been denied. And with girl Rella, she's got a story as well too. So Rella's going to go in tomorrow night, and she's going to discuss, her experiences dealing with Navy Federal as well too. So y'all, like I said, we're going to be talking about the situation with the Pope. We're going to be talking about Rudy Giuliani, and we're going to be talking about Navy Federal. Of course, tonight. And hopefully we can get no taxation or Rella them up here as well too. I don't see trouble up in the space because, like I said, I want to hear some Jess Cakes. She's been the only sister to come up here and actually talk about this situation as well too. But hopefully we can get some of our other sisters to come up in here and just give their opinion about the situation with Jonathan Majors as well too. Jonathan Majors, he had Megan Good with him. Of course, Megan Good, she still looks good. And she was by his side the entire time. And I know a lot of people, you had a lot of people saying, well, I've even seen some comments, people saying, Megan Good looks goofy. She's sitting up here now. She's sitting up here with Jonathan Majors, and she looks stupid for being up here with him because he's just using her as a shield, basically. So she looks dumb. She looks stupid for supporting him up here, whatever. So I definitely want to get people's opinion about that as well, too. Because like I say, Megan, she's been supporting him the whole time, the short time they've been dating and whatnot. So I definitely want to get everybody's opinion on that as well. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic, and I'm going to get to black majority state and no taxation.
All right. I just want to say, Newstoter, as far as this interracial thing goes, I think I've mentioned this before. This has been going on since the 90s. There used to be a book called Interracial Magazine, where, white people know that more of them are dying than are being born. And what they said was, they need melanin in order to survive. And who has the most? We do. And they said it would be better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And so they've been pushing this interracial garbage for quite some time. I mean, the issue is that you have to calmly and use psychology when speaking to your children. I don't know him, but I know of this guy. He was very pro-black. And he would, I guess, I don't know what happened between him and his children, but I think he kind of almost like off the rails with it. But anyway, all of his children ended up marrying outside of the race. And he didn't like it, but he had to learn. He didn't take it out on the grandchildren because they didn't have a choice. But he just wondered, what could he have done differently? And all I say to people is just talk to your children. Don't get angry and stuff because you don't want to push them towards them. Just show them how this group of people have treated us, and that they never change. And you don't want anything bad to happen to them. Give them great examples. I mean, get some of the books that's on lynchings and everything else, and show them what they did to Ruby Bridges and things of that nature. And let's not forget, Newstoter, you brought up OJ. Now remember, during that OJ trial, y'all may not remember this, but Johnny Cochran his second wife was a black woman, I think. But Johnny Cochran had a son with a white girl. They thought, the LAPD thought they can throw that out there. They thought that was going to turn us against Johnny Cochran. We dug our toes in deeper, standing 10 toes down with brother Johnny Cochran. Because we knew what they was doing. Because, see, if you watch that trial on TV and then you watch the news, it was totally different than what you saw on TV if you had the opportunity to do that. So they were trying to manipulate, but they could not shake us. We stood 10 toes down with brother Johnny Cochran. And, and what's, okay, you mentioned something about, the same-sex thing, Newstoter. And what a lot of people don't understand, Newstoter, a lot of this stuff that got passed with the same sex, a lot of it was supported by the Congressional Black Caucus. But yet, they are silent on reparations for us. You got this guy, Jamie Harrison, he was talking about how they're what they need to do to get black folks to vote and this, that, and whatever. No, we don't want to just vote. We want to vote for reparations. That's what we want. And if you can't deliver that, no problem. We're going to let you handle it yourself, because no longer are we going to accept their benign neglect edict for us while everybody else get all the resources that they need. And I'll land on that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Appreciate that. Like I say, guys, up in the Jumbotron, we got the poll up in there. So if you get a chance, go ahead and vote on the poll. It's on the right-hand side. Let me go ahead and get the Black majority state. Black, what's going on with you tonight?
Hello, brother. Newstoter, DJ, Miss No Taxation, Miss Rella, Original, Quader, Robbie, all the folks in the space. This is a light topic that actually can be very, very serious, of course, because it has serious implications. But the brother, Jonathan Majors, I'm a fan of his. He's a really good actor, very powerful. He was in a movie called Devotion, which is about a fighter pilot. I guess this was World War II, because they're in the propeller planes. And then they face some Germans with the actual jets in that movie. It's some of the best fighter scenes ever filmed. But his role is him really fighting against the racism, and him having this trauma. It's like on screen, him standing in front of the mirror, and one of his white co-pilots kind of walks in on him, going through this mantra of him essentially reciting all the negative things that he has heard about him not being able to succeed in life. It's like, these are some really powerful scenes in that movie. So if you haven't seen it, definitely spend some time watching that. And to what's going on now, it's kind of like, it is what it is. It's to be expected. I did write about that in the book I wrote, because it's just a pattern of behavior. I think this actually was a part of the ritual. I think Miss Cates mentioned rituals. I think this was a part of the ritual that they do drag, especially black men through in Hollywood. But did you see Miss Megan Good walking out of that? I mean, that is, I got to shout out Miss Megan Good, because if you had that, in my opinion, you couldn't pick a better woman on the planet Earth, to be quite honest. Connected to, in the past, men with access to our black women in this country, and so those offspring would be enslaved. But then there were the other women, the white women and the Mexican women or Native women, that if they had a mixed race child, they would be a free person of color. And so because of the amalgamation that people talk about a lot, this actually had always been occurring within our population group because we are prisoners of war, captive people, and a lot of the sexual access, sexual deviancy within different population groups was expressed upon our people. And many people have assimilated into whiteness, and then you possibly came back. There's the actor on Modern Family, Ty Burrell, who was on that show with the Harvard guy, and he discovered his great grandmother was enslaved, was impregnated at 13, and then he follows the matriarch of his successive great grandmother. His great grandmother moved to Oregon as a free person of color, and this is probably at the time when black people weren't necessarily allowed to be in Oregon, but she was able to get land through a Homestead Act, which I find, extremely phenomenal. She's like the second or third black woman that I've heard that was able to go out into the Midwest and get land and own property, and just taking no prisoners and not accepting no as an answer. But then they also married into whiteness. That's the other part of the story. Each time I see one of these stories, they tend to marry into whiteness. So, I think the brother will be back. I think, they do what they do. He's so talented, to be quite honest, that it would be a shame for him not to be able to, explore his craft in different dimensions. I'm trying to think of the brother, Nate. Was it Nate Washington that did the Nat Turner story and how that whole thing had affected him? Nate Parker. Man, shout out to Nate Parker, because they torpedoed that man. But I don't think he was at the same level. But damn, they did destroy him with that whole situation. But I'll just end on that.
All right. Thank you, Black. I appreciate it. I think he'll be back too, Black. I just don't know if he'll ever get the mega roles that I don't know if he'll get the mega roles that he was getting before. I think that he'll get some roles, some smaller roles. I just don't know if he'll get those leading box office type roles that he was getting before. No Taxation. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? My mic is on. I didn't even know.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Could you hear the game in the background?
I didn't hear a game, but I did hear something. I was like wondering. I was like, somebody has an open mic, but I didn't know it was you. But yeah,
And I didn't know I had an open mic. I'm watching Philly and Seattle. But anyway, how y'all doing? I hope everybody is fine.
hey, what's going on?
Ready to go into 2024 with a new mind, a new heart, and some ammunition. That's what we need. I didn't, I'm not into the Marvel thing, right? I don't have anything against it, but I'm just not into it. So I didn't know that much about this guy, but I will say this: there's nothing new under the sun. That's the history of America. What happens to a black man when he goes with a white woman? That's the history of America right there in a nutshell. That's why they hate y'all so. That's why the white man hates y'all so. Because y'all y'all can go with the white women, and the white women want to go with you. And original is right. See, coming up, we were taught stuff. And that's not being taught anymore. That's one thing. The other thing is that, it's the decline of morality in America. But the other thing is that when you said that stuff about the commercials, they showed you exactly what was going to be going on. All those commercials you saw, and y'all keep looking at those commercials. You're not going to see no real dark-skinned man in those commercials. And whoever got some melanin in those commercials is going to be with somebody with less melanin. And that's just what they're trying to tell you what society's going to look like. But one thing that won't happen, that's in the commercials. is that if you put your hands on a white woman or she calls the police on you, even if you don't put your hands on her, you're going to serve, you're going to get some repercussions. And that's just what that is. I did look up his what he was indicted for. And they're both misdemeanors. So he doesn't have any felonies on him because they dropped the felony case. But they're misdemeanors. And so he has 2 misdemeanors. I don't know what that looks like in terms of, does he have to pay and go on his way? Probation, what did they do? I don't know. But they had to do something because they had to knock him down. And that's just what that is. I think black folks don't understand that when you're sitting on top of the world, it turns over every 24 hours. So don't do anything that's going to make you fall off. Because the first thing they did was take his money away. They said, we're not going to deal with him no more. And so that means, the Hollywood powers that be turned their back on him. And they did so because of a white woman. And there's not a black man in America that's a regular black man. I don't know about the rest of them. I'm just talking about my group, my culture. That should know that if you go with a white woman, you're taking your chances on your life sometimes. I don't care if you marry her and have kids. And that's just the way that is. That is one of the founding cornerstones of America. Black men do not supposed to go with the white woman. Because all they have to do is point at you and you'll get lynched. That's just the name of the game. So, he took his chances. He rolled the dice. He shot craps. And that's just the way the game goes. He got to live with that. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for anybody who goes down because they thought white water was wetter. Okay? I just don't feel sorry for those kind of people. I don't have anything for them. And that has nothing to do with him being in the Marvel. Even though I don't watch the Marvels, it is what it is. It was a foolish mistake on his part, running through the streets, running away from a white woman. Man, bye. Who filmed it? Who saw it? We got paparazzi everywhere. What you doing? So, and I hope everybody is well. I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. Thank you. No taxation. I see over there on YouTube, No Swirl Zone says Becky about to get paid when the civil suit comes up. I love it. So No Swirl Zone. I guess you want Becky to hit him for the actual civil suit money. And we got my boy Professor, y'all. Professor's over there on YouTube land. Professor says Jonathan Majors will and is blackballed from Hollywood. Professor, I think he'll be on the lower end. I think, like I said, I think that he'll be doing lower tier movies and stuff at least for a while. He may eventually get back up to a certain level, but he'll never make that to me, he'll never be the box office top draw again. Like, when Sean Penn had this incident back in the 80s, and I was little, I didn't even know Sean Penn was married to Madonna, but apparently they were married or whatever. And, when Madonna said he was going upside her head or whatever, Sean Penn, it was a backlash with him because Madonna at the time, before she became the Madonna that we all know, she was still like America's darling, even though she had this wild side. But, it didn't really stop Sean Penn from becoming, doing major numbers and stuff in Hollywood or whatever. But there's a difference here. And I just think that based off of what we've always seen, I think he's going to have a hard time ever. Like he'll never be some kind of comic book hero again. Like that, to me, that's over with. He'll never be that. He'll never be in the Creed movies again or whatever. And I believe they were going to bring him back from what people said. He'll never have that type of, even though he's young, he'll never have that type of, I think that type of influence again. He'll still be used, but just not to that level. So I definitely think that his career is not totally over, but I think that he will he'll never get to that level where he was really on the rise. He was going to be the next huge big black box office superstar, especially in terms of action movies as well too. And I think that is just gone at this point in time. So let me go ahead. I know we got Rella up here too. So Rella, I know she was up here for a second, but Rella, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, I'm driving on the back road. So I know, And shout out to Original. I really love hearing his perspective, and shout out to all of the elders and everyone else in the room. Love and sunflowers and light. Y'all know what it is. I want to piggyback off of what Original was saying, only because I know what it is to kind of have a blended family or a family where, one person, marries someone that is from a different race or ethnic group. But I also understand there are consequences, and when I say consequences, I'm speaking to things that happen to you, and possibly them, because for no reason, just for no odd reason. And then at the same time, they have to be prepared. And I agree with Original. When you do particularly start to mix your family, you have to be prepared for things that will happen, I think, moving forward. And Jonathan Majors, unfortunately for men, I think, and women who swirl, but him particularly, I'm speaking towards men who swirl, there are huge daggers, because a man's seed into someone else pretty much changes the trajectory of that family's lineage in regards to their ethnic group. They're no longer, of that purity type race situation, and white men and white women see that both as a benefit and as a threat. I think for white women, it is more so on the lines of, get a black man, possibly you get someone that could be a major movie star, a major, athlete, or someone who is just very educated and makes good money. So the transfer of wealth is a huge deal. Whereas that, I think you don't often see it with black women who often swirl or whoever, who end up with another race of male, where the transfer of wealth actually comes back into our community. So there's so many different dynamics when I think in our community for men and women who do step outside or date other races of people. And this is another one. The DV violence with black men and black women are never highlighted the way the DV violence is highlighted with black men and white women. Because the DV violence with white women, white men and black women, you do not hear stories being picked up where, like what was the Seahawks player who beat up his black girlfriend? Beat her down. You don't see the news carrying that as, okay, well, we're going to put him on a pedestal and make him pay for the crimes for public opinion and in justice. And with a white woman, hell, Virginia versus what? Loving versus Virginia. White man with a black woman. Or, excuse me, she said she wasn't black. My whole point is there's always this double standard. And to me, black men, it just becomes a little bit more tumultuous for them, I think. And they have an experience when it comes to dating other races of people, especially other women. And it could end bad for them. Very, very bad. Even to the point where that, to me, should be even investigated and looked at as, what are the rates of imprisonment or death that happens, or, their lifespan and money that's taken. Because it seems like everybody kind of, looks at it as, oh, well, woe is Jonathan Majors. I think I also agree with no taxation. Like, he made the decision. As much as I like him as an actor, a hell of a good actor, and I agree with Black, I think there are consequences in that industry when you don't do stuff that people like. And I think there's a sense of control with black men, which is why Denzel always talked about how he would not kiss a white woman on film. There are a whole slew of things that happen, I think, to black men. And so I think that's one of the things that black men should also be cautious. But I'm not saying black women should be cautious, but be cautious because there's a level of control and strength that I think other groups see, and they know that black men carry. And if they can, again, assassinate your character, even so much so by propping up a white woman who does harm to you, and protect her from even not facing consequences. Because think about it, another white woman does this to another black man, they can pull back this case and be like, well, let's look at what he did to make her do what she did. They had his video of him running away from her, and yet you're telling me this man had got 2 misdemeanors. So I think New York was trying to protect its what is right, and also at the same time protect the image of white women being the damsel in distress, and the black man is King Kong, coming and still kill and rape your white women type situation, So that was to me very, very, it's very sad, but it's kind of like, and then, Megan Good standing next to him, it goes back to, that saying, when all else fails, if a black man who swirls is in trouble, who does he go get to be his black knight, a black woman to shield him? It's facts. You can't call on another race of woman to shield you because they won't. And it's really sad. So, it's just an unfortunate situation. I think that's kind of where I'm gonna land at that point. But shout out to all the haters and tiptoers who you want to dance around the conversation about race and ethnicity in relationships, because you're making it harder. You're making it harder for us to have these conversations, even for yourself. You need to be honest. You're out there swirling. You're out there dating. If your family is mixed, just be honest about the situation. And like Original said, we got to tell the experiences, because other people are going to go through it. And you want to make sure you have all the ins and outs. And you want to be teaching your family, like, listen, it is not a game out here. It is not a game. You are a target. And if you with a black man or a black woman, they are already have a strike against them because they are a black American. And if you're not ready to stand in the gap and protect them at all costs, then don't mess with us. Don't fool with them. Period. That's kind of where I land. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rella. Like I said, tomorrow night, y'all catch the space tomorrow night. And I got up on the Jumbotron on the left-hand side. We're going to be talking about Navy Federal. Rella's going to give her experience about dealing with them as well, too. We're going to talk about America's former mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and the actual mega lawsuit he got hit with. We're also going to be talking about the issue with the Pope and giving his blessings to same-sex marriages as well too. So we're gonna tomorrow night, even though tonight's just one topic, we're gonna be focusing on tomorrow night. We're gonna have quite a few topics we're gonna be discussing as well too. Over there in YouTube land, our boy Professor, and Professor's back over there in YouTube. So shout out to Professor, and of course Professor hasn't lost his touch. He says white but JJ is a hell of a drug that could end up costing you everything. So shout out to Professor.
Newstoter.
I
wanted to also put in there Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller played the Flash, and he was molesting young white kids, or I think it was a young boy. And he's able to actually keep his money. Marvel did not stop his checks from coming. He actually, I think, ended up going to jail. And yet it took them a while to actually remove him from Marvel's lineup, because they had already filmed The Flash, and The Flash was a big deal. I wanted to put out there that it was messed up how that Marvel just dropped Jonathan Majors, because I think Ezra Miller's case was way worse, and the mere fact that he's still able to get paid, but Jonathan Majors, kind of is going to have a stain, that's effed up,
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Let me go ahead real quick for those over there in YouTube, guys. Make sure y'all go ahead and share out the broadcast tonight as well, too. Professor, make sure you go ahead and share it out to your social media platforms, guys. Definitely like, comment, all of that good stuff as well, too. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For anyone that does not have Cash App, we have the PayPal and Venmo over here on Twitter and the Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, in the description, we have the actual Venmo and PayPal up in the actual in the actual description. Cash App is on the actual screen. So like I say, for anybody that can support, if you got $1 that you can use to support the platform, it is greatly appreciated. Definitely visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking Black news in Black America today. Visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking Black news in Black America today. So definitely visit the website as well. Let me go ahead and get to Mel. Mel, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks so much for letting me jump up here real quick. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Okay. Listen, I got a problem with. Okay, for one, Marvel did not want. I think this was all orchestrated to just get Jonathan up out the paint because Marvel has something else they want to do with this character. Marvel did not support Jonathan at all because in most cases you would think that we would get a statement that says, hey, we support Jonathan, blase scoop, we're going to stand behind him, so on and so forth. We didn't get none of that. Boom! The verdict just came down, and they done already cut ties. The ties are already cut. And I'm really, really livid about Megan Good. But before I do that, I want to shout out Ray Smith. He was in here. He might have stepped out, but I want to shout out Ray Smith because you talk about Black love. His wife and they're both pursuing, post-secondary educations and just supporting each other, loving each other, building together. I mean, damn, that is so inspiring. And, hashtag Black love with them. So I just wanted to, give him some flowers in a full room. But back to Megan Good. I mean, I would feel better if it was Lori Harvey instead of Megan Good. Because Megan is giving Black women a hard-ass way to go with supporting Jonathan. The man does not like Black women. So why are you using us this way? And not only are you using us like this, you turned around and you in the text messages that the girl revealed, he says, I'm just going to kill myself. Why? So you're back on a thread of the edge. And this white woman has driven you there, chasing you down the street. And I ain't mad at him for running. That was a smart thing to do. Just the optics of it, though. This big, tall, attractive Black man running from a white woman who looks like she can't come from the trailer park. And what has ruined your reputation, ruined your money, ruined your bag, all of that. And I do think if he would, I don't want to use the word toughen up. If he'll get his stuff together, he could do some independent approaches to film and really get in the paint and really reinvent and recreate and become something that I guess what he's destined to be. But I just hate this. I hate that Megan Good just willingly stepped up saying, "Oh yeah, I said," because that's not giving Black love. Are you getting a check, Megan Good? This is what I really want to know. Are you being paid for this? And it's just very frustrating because his preference is a white woman, just like Jamie Foxx. Y'all want white women. So don't come to a Black woman now all of a sudden, now that the water's boiling. And we can't get no respect. So anyway, I'm sorry. But I just came up here to say that. Thank you for listening to me rant.
Oh, so you said that it would have been better if him and Lori Harvey was I guess if he was with Lori Harvey, it would have been cool.
Yeah.
But
And Lori Harvey, because everybody knows what Lori Harvey is doing. Whatever she's doing that's what she's doing. What is Megan Good doing? I mean, you're beautiful and you're really devaluing yourself, Megan Good. That's not no relationship. How do you go from this trailer park white woman to Megan Good with her beautiful stuff? How do you do that, Jonathan? You don't. So he should have got Lori. Everybody would have understood that it's a optic thing. You cut the check to Lori, and then we could have respected that because at least you playing the game. But this Megan, ain't y'all not fooling nobody with Megan Good. And what's gonna be sad is when the dust finally settles, you're gonna ease off Megan Good and get you another trailer park queen. So what? I'm landing.
well, now we do have precedence of one Black man being married to a white woman and then getting a divorce from that white woman and marrying an actual Black woman. We got Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, he was married to a white woman. Russell ended up, leaving his white wife. They end up getting divorced. And of course, he's been married to Sierra, the singer, ever since. So, maybe I don't know. I don't know the actual extent of their relationship with Megan Good. Maybe also Megan got a divorce from her husband, so maybe the preacher man. So maybe Megan, was a little vulnerable, and she wanted to be with somebody. Hey, I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff together.
I'll say this news for Jonathan Major to text that white woman and say, if this gets out, I'm going to kill myself, and C and I and O and I. That's already telling me that you're starting way behind the starting block. You already got some issues. For you to be saying that to this white woman, no wonder she chased him down the streets. No wonder she did that. Because she knew she was dealing with a hot mess. And maybe he got some equipment, and that's the only thing that's not dysfunctional. And this is why Megan Good is all up in there like that. Maybe that's what's up. But once all that's said and done, and this heat blows over, where you gonna take all that good equipment back to the trailer park? I just quit playing in our face. Let's just stop it. That's all. Just stop it. Ooh.
Shout out to the good equipment.
All right.
Yeah, the very good equipment.
Hey, Mel came up here. Mel, she cut loose on us on this one. Even Professor on YouTube saying laugh out loud. So Mel came up in here and she cut up on this one. Let me go ahead and get to I'm gonna get to Samson, and I'm gonna get to you, Black Majority State. Samson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, no, you are really, really low. If you got on the Bluetooth, you got to take it off because I could barely hear you. Nah, you still pretty much about the same. You on a speak? You on a Bluetooth or anything? A headset? Yeah. How about taking that off so we can hear you a lot better?
All right, how about now?
Yeah, much better.
Much better. Okay. Yeah. So a lot was said. It was very interesting. I think a lot of great points from me so far. I do think that the ultimate goal, if we are to be forward-minded in our thinking in terms of progressing our lineage towards reparations and the goals we want to achieve, I'm not sure that having a partner of another race is the ultimate way of going about it. I do think that there are legitimate relationships that are interracial relationships, and that love is possible. Now, whether that should be preferred is a different story. I think that Jonathan Majors found himself in a situation where I think the white woman actually wasn't the one that pressed the charges. It was the police that did so.
Yeah, it was a state. The state took it up.
Yeah, so I've seen this before. Even in person, a lot of times law enforcement, when they get involved, if they see you with a white woman, their perception of things is totally different from if they were to see you probably by yourself or with somebody that wasn't a white woman. I think that whole narrative that they've been taught since their grandparents were children, their grandparents taught them, and they were taught by their grandparents about us supposedly having these bestial desires to take their women. That all plays a role into the way they handle these types of situations. I think that people have to be aware when they go about interracial relationships, if they want to do that it will have consequences if the police or it doesn't have to be the police. It can be a different situation where you find yourself in, and the society around you is going to, automatically just gravitate towards taking her side. Clearly, the man's running through New York City. It looks like for, I don't know, was it Mr. Boyd? But if any of that's his son.
You breaking up, Samson. Samson, you breaking up.
Okay, what about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I think the reception in this area might be a little bit poor, and then it's raining here as well over here in North Carolina. But anyway, so I land my plane there, just saying that I think people can realize that when you get the law involved, even if in this case the woman didn't want to actually press the charges, it didn't matter, because once they see, and then it doesn't even have to be us with a white woman, it can be a black woman with a white man. They're going to take that white side. It's just what they're trained to do, what they've been doing. I'll end my plane there.
All right, thank you, Samson. I appreciate it. Mel came up here and Mel said her little piece, and she dropped down to listener. So shout out to you as well, Samson. Appreciate you coming up here tonight as well, and speaking as well in the space as well too. Like I say, guys, for those that can support, we definitely need that support. So, and we can get at least a couple people to donate $1 to the actual platform, it is greatly appreciated. I know it's Christmas time, everybody's saving up, trying to get that presents for the kids and the family members. But if you got $1 that you can donate to the platform, it is greatly appreciated. You know that Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news curation platform today in America, and we definitely need your support to go ahead and keep things rolling. So if you got $1 that you can support, whether it's on Cash App, $Newstoter, or it's on the PayPal or Venmo, it is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Black Majority State. DJ, are you still up in the space? I know you be moving around. You up in the space? Okay, DJ might be doing something, but go ahead, Black. You got it.
Okay. So let me say this. He does have a mixed race daughter. I did, I don't. It's one of those things where these people are actors, and I've always tried to separate who they are in real life from their characters, because they're not the same people. He's a great talent when it comes to his art. But as an individual, I posted down in the Purple Pill an image of him when he first got into Hollywood. He was also homeless at 16. So he has this trauma. He describes himself as an introvert, so he's likely a submissive guy, even though Hollywood turned him into essentially an action star. Muscles, they beefed him up and they made him into this physical specimen. But if you look at the picture of him, who he really is, he's just a skinny, dorky, blurred, nerd type of guy, a geek, to be quite honest. And that likely is who he is, even with all the muscles. I think the muscles are more or less a mask and added to his earning potential. But probably deep down inside, he's still just that kid who enjoys comic books and geeky things or whatever the case may be. So I don't know what his childhood experience was. If he was homeless at 16, obviously there was something going on there. But yeah, let me say this. So I think legally he has an opportunity to appeal these charges. And I think he has some grounds in order to file an appeal. It could be malicious prosecution by the state. It could be the fact that his attorneys weren't necessarily competent and or something was missed. He's charged with misdemeanors, and I'm going to be honest with you, misdemeanor crimes are outside of a disorderly conduct or a seatbelt ticket. They're really not that serious. That's why they're called misdemeanors. Most first-time offenders do not have to go to prison, and they usually can get that removed from their records. So to me, it looks like he had some attorneys that weren't the best, to be quite honest. I saw the pictures of the so-called wounds that the woman had. They were non-existent. So, it's kind of one of those things where I'm not here to defend him as a person who dates outside of his race or anything like that. I just think that as an actor, he really is a good actor. Also, oh, this is what I didn't mention. He's from Lovecraft Country, and the second season of Lovecraft Country, they put out a map, and it showed the southeastern United States. It was called the New Negro Republic in black, and they canceled that series because of that map, quite literally. He had already had all these other projects sort of in the pipeline, so it didn't affect his career, but you just never know why these people do what they do, what motivation they have to destroy, because they really built him up to destroy him, to be quite honest, the way I look at it, because again, he's just this skinny, geeky guy who went to some acting school and started getting attention from Hollywood. And if you remember, he did that. Was it Ebony, where he had on like a skirt and with the roses and everything, and then they were kind of making accusations of the way he was hugged up with Michael B. Jordan. So they've been trying to metrosexualize him. He may have resisted that. Who knows? Who can tell? I know these black men are under a lot of pressure. If you understand what the whole Diddy and now Quincy Jones effect is, and who knows what else is going on out there. So I'll just end on that. I just don't think inherently this is a bad person, but I think everything around him may have led to his demise.
Thank you, Black. I'm glad you brought that up as well too, because like I said, when I started really paying attention to Jonathan Majors, I saw that he was a pretty big guy, muscular guy, and everything else like that. And then I started looking at some of these other pictures, these older pictures, and he was pretty small, skinny guy, whatever. And I heard some people on Twitter, seen some people on Twitter posting about that. They think that he had roid rage, and it was roid rage, and he did this and he did that or whatever. I don't know how long, because like I said, I didn't pay attention to a whole lot of his career until he started doing the Marvel movies and the Creed and whatnot. But I did see him on that movie. I saw him on another movie before too. Like I said, he's a pretty decent actor, but I didn't really start paying that much attention to him. Like I hadn't, his whole body of work I hadn't really been looking at. But you can see a big transformation in his size and everything else as well too, as compared to what he was and what he is. And now, of course, he was 16. He was a kid. He was young, whatever. Now you're talking about almost 20 years later. I believe he's 34. So he filled out. He's a man or whatever. He's grown up and this and that or whatever. But just like if you see Michael B. Jordan when he was younger, when he was on The Wire as a kid, a teenager, whatever, he was small and everything else. And now, of course, he's put on size and muscle and everything else over the years and stuff like that as well too. So that the show you were talking about on HBO, Love Country, I heard about that show a couple years ago. I never got a chance to look at it. And next thing I know, like they canceled it. And I thought it was a pretty popular show from what I heard, but it seemed like it only stayed on maybe a couple years and they ended up canceling it, even though it seemed like they had a pretty decent viewership and fan base as well too. So I didn't get a chance, and I've never seen it, so I need to check it out because I do have Max, but I've never actually seen the actual show. But from what I heard, a lot of people actually liked it. They dug it. They thought it was pretty good. So I may have to check that out just to see exactly what's up with that. But like I said, you're starting to hear people throw out allegations that he was on roids and he had a roid rage and all this and that or whatever. So people are starting to say this and say that about Mel. Saying about the thing about what's your girl name? Megan Good. Like I said, I don't know exactly. I don't know how long he may have known Megan, if they were, friends before and they just hooked up, they got together, whatever. Like Mel say, Megan is a very attractive woman. And, people looked at the ex-girlfriend, they looked at Megan, and a lot of people thought, well, hey, you should have had something like Megan on your arms from the get-go, like compared to Becky right here. But, it is what it is. And you say he has an actual child that's, biracial. Mel, she seems to think that, hey, maybe once this situation clears up and him and Megan breaks up or whatever, that he'll probably and you're saying this in court and you just went through what you went through. Now, if you go ahead and you get with in another situation like this, and man, don't come back crying and complaining, because you already know the cards, you already know what's being dealt, so you know exactly what's going on. So don't go ahead and downplay the situation as well too. If you believe that it is what it is, then you already know. So there's no need to come back with it. I don't know whether him and Megan, how serious it is, because like I say, she was married, she was in a relationship. So sometimes people say, well, he maybe caught on the rebound or whatever, but whatever it is, hopefully they've been there for each other, and it had to be a tough ordeal. I know Mel said she probably got paid or whatever. I don't know. What was interesting and what was funny, I read a comment that Aunt Lai wrote, and Aunt Lai said 9 times out of 10 Hollywood pressed him charges. Y'all know the courts are corrupt. Hollywood wanted him out, and the prosecutors definitely helped. So so shout out to Aunt Lai and her conspiracy theories as well too. Let me go ahead. We got and I'm gonna get to some of the new I'm gonna get to one of the new speakers up in Black. I'm gonna get back to you as well too. I kind of lost the order of hands, but I know we got Juno up here. We got Original, I think, was next. Samson and Black, I'll get to you guys as well too. Juno, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We're still learning. This case right here, now, okay. I've dated white women. I've only dated one. And, she was a pretty decent young lady, whatnot. And that was when I was younger. I've had kin persons, mostly male, they do the exact same thing. What I noticed, however, in those relationships, they never ask the non-Black person the questions that are important before we even start going into the bedroom. They don't ask, are you or have you ever been a racist? Do you know the characteristics of a racist? Have you yourself practiced racism against a non-white person? And what are you going to do to help me? And what are you going to do to hurt me? And lastly, if this thing goes forward and we start having offspring, what do you plan on telling our offspring about the behavioral system of white supremacy racism? Now, we can't get through those 5 questions in the discussion there. And the reason why I bring those 5 questions up is because before we go any further in the relationship, I got to know more about you, and you got to know about me. Because as Neely Fuller said, one thing you don't want to have is I didn't know. I didn't know all you wanted to do is date me because I was a movie star. I didn't know that, you wanted a baby and I didn't. Put it out there in the front. Stop being chicken-ishy about it. Put it out there in the front. Address the problem. Stop running from it. And what I notice about these Black males in these relationships, they don't talk about it. They ignore it, and they just kind of brush it to the side because they want to make that white person feel comfortable. I say the hell with that. Because, Jonathan Majors, I don't think he deserves what he got, but let's just be blunt. If you don't understand white supremacy racism, what it is and how it works, buddy, everything else would be confusing you. And he's one confused puppy. But I think most non-whites who are classified as Black, they really want this illusionary attainment of the American dream. And then when they get the rude awakening, they're hit from the sideline. They don't know what to do. And then they go into the Black woman like Megan Good and having holding her hand and putting her out there in the spotlight. You can't come home and pick up Sister Soldier when you're going through some beef with their folks. You either with her or you're not. Black women are not to be picked up as trash or picked up as, a commodity, as well as a publicity stunt to get breasts from Black folks. That's the same crap that Bill Cosby pulled. That's the same crap that O.J. Simpson pulled. And you know how that worked out. When Cosby was down, we didn't support him. O.J. messed around and did something, we didn't support him. We said, okay, bro, you on your own now. You didn't give a fuck about us then. You don't give a fuck about us now.
Hey, don't hit the F word, but go ahead.
Excuse me. But no, if I was making good, I would say, nah, bro, are you serious about being with me, or are you just here right now because you're going through some stuff with your folks? See, we got to know what your real intentions are. Because if you're not about loving me, being intimate with me, being concerned about me, or considerate or respecting me, for that matter, as a black woman, man, kick rocks, bro. Kick rocks. And I'll let everyone respond.
All right. Thank you, Juno. I definitely appreciate that. Guys, we've been up in the space almost 2 hours and we still ain't got $1 in donations. $1. So like I say, if we can get $1 tonight for almost a 2-hour space for the program, the platform, it'll be greatly appreciated. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. I'm going to keep saying until this space closes. We need the support. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. For anybody that can go ahead and donate $1 to the platform tonight, it is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, I just want to say this. If I'm not going to assume that everyone knows, but if you know of a young person who's trying to get into the film and entertainment industry, please reference them people like Oscar Michaud, and his last name is spelled Micheaux. He was a black movie maker back in the early days, and Paul Robeson starred in several of his movies. And that right there is telling, because Paul Robeson, he was like straight black, from what I understand. But I just wanted to say that because oftentimes some of our children, they get involved in this stuff, but they're only given what white people have done. They're not given any information as to what black people have accomplished in that industry. And I think if they have an understanding of that, they would be better off, because we shouldn't have to continue. I mean, those that want to do what the Jonathan Majors and the O.J. Simpson, because see, when Johnny won that case, O.J. came to the good life when we had this meeting regarding black folks every Friday night. And O.J. said, yeah, he was at the good life saying what he was going to do. He gonna turn it like shh. And before O.J. could get out of the door, that boy was thinking about white girls. And, so it's like some people they can't be helped. So you let them. We just have to let them go and keep it moving. But I just want to say that if you have young children that are going into this industry, make sure that they know of people like Oscar Michaud, and sometimes that little classic movie channel will show some of his movies, and actually they were all right to me. I was just happy to see what a black man had accomplished, and it said that he would go to he would travel the country, and sometimes he would go to churches or some of these halls or whatever. They say he'd throw up a white sheet and show his movies, and people come in and view his movies. So I think we have to begin to teach the children that they have to begin to build and make sure that they're building from the ground up and make sure that they're building black. And I'll land with that.
Thank you, Original. Let me give a shout out real quick, and let me give a shout out to the sisters, Angie X and Shannon. Thank you, ladies, for your contribution on Cash App. It is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Samson. Samson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on, man? I just kind of wanted to respond just to a couple people that mentioned some things earlier, and I agreed with the last or one of the last speakers. I think it was the speaker before last said about actually vetting if you're going to actually date out, which is repeatedly been ill-advised here. But if that's going to be the case, you should at least have the decency to, respect yourself and your family and have the, conversations that may seem difficult at times, but they really shouldn't be. They should be points that you would want to make or questions you would want to ask for your own protection and, the protection of your future family if you're willing to, take it that far. I have also personally, dated some white women in the past. I've never really had these instances where, like Jonathan Majors, you have, her actually going off on him and chasing him and all this. I'm not gonna say like, trying to keep people in check, but I mean, my goodness, man, you gotta do a little bit better than that. I guess I just never ran across that type before, but of course that's not my preference these days anyway. I do think he could have. I think one of the earlier speakers said that he's obsessed with wanting to date white women and Megan Good should leave him, and I'm not so sure that's the case. I think that some people do come to their senses. Some people do, like myself, tend to realize, that they were being perhaps misled in some ways by the narratives that are constantly pushed on us. With, we talk about the commercials, we talk about even if you look at like some of the children's movies, like the Little Mermaid, right? I think she's actually with a white man. They got a black woman to play the Little Mermaid, but when you look at who she dates in the movie, it's a white man. And same with the Miles Morales Spider-Man. They got a black Spider-Man, foundational black American. But you look at his love interest in the film is actually a white woman. So it's like even when they give our kids, our children, who we want to have positive representations of, our fictional characters, superheroes or whatever, princesses. But it's like, well, they're still going to have to, date out and be with the white person. It's clearly a narrative that's more significant than we may have realized or like to consider these days, how strong they're actually pushing this. But if, like I said, I think, and like the last speaker, or one of the last speakers said, we got to actually be willing to have these conversations with the youth and realize people that they're going to have some type of vetting process for these people and be willing to face, consequences that may arise if something does go wrong. And I think I'll land there.
All right. Thank you, Samson. Let me give a shout out to None Swirl Zone as well, too, over there on YouTube. Thank you, None Swirl Zone, for your contribution. Let me go ahead and get to Black Majority State. Black, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. It seems like this is a confessional space tonight, so shout out to people that are, at least laying it out there. I wanted to actually come up to say about the show, Lovecraft Country. So it was a very popular show. I remember, because I don't do entertainment like that, unless it's in the theater, but I remember seeing all these posts about it. Post. Well, it turns out they got nominated for a ton of Emmys. And this was only the first season, so it didn't go for successive seasons. It was a one and done. And that is very highly suspect and unusual to have this great show that had a lot of buzz and was being nominated for awards. So all of it's sketchy to me in terms of that. In terms of Megan Good, so here's what's interesting about this. Megan Good is in the DC universe. She's in the DCU, right? She's a superhero in the DCU. A part of the Shazam franchise. And the fact that she's dating who was a former Marvel MCU character guy. Again, Hollywood is what it is. Hollyweird is what it is. A lot of it is about relationships. They say everything, politics, everything. It's all about relationships. Well, this is a relationship in which, and this is what happens with some of these actors, is they or in both universes. There are some actors who have been in the MCU and who have been in the DCU. Because someone mentioned Ezra Miller, and that's a whole tragedy that they allowed him to come through. But the DCU seems to be a little more lenient, because James Gunn, the director, also had some sketchy issues in the past. They tried to get rid of him. The actors actually supposedly galvanized around him and essentially said, we're not going to do the movie without him as director, and resurrected his relationship with that particular group. So, they're all demons in Hollywood. We get it. They're witches, warlocks. They practice demonology and all types of issues. However, I think that the relationship, while yes, it does provide this optic of a black man with a black woman, but it also could be more strategic for his career, because she's already in that universe, and it's just a conversation for her to say, well, look, he's no longer here. He's available. Great actor, very talented. He could fit into a million black characters that the DCU may have. Green Lantern being one in my mind. And just run with it like that. So, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. From a pure, I'm making moves. This is happening. That's happening. It is what it is. Yada yada yada. It may be more strategic than anything. And again, I'm not going to be mad at that, because if Marvel, because they're going to bow down to oppressive white feminism, and essentially try to cancel this man, and another high earning franchise decides to pick him up, and he is successful over there, that I'm going to continue to be a fan of the man and his talent, and yada yada yada. So I'll just end on that.
Black and I forgot that she was actually part of like the DC, like you say, because I pretty much I watched the Marvel stuff. I hadn't watched the DC stuff in a long time, but the only thing I think at this point in time that I think that I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future, because they're going to consider him too toxic at this point in time. You're going to have all kind of women groups that come out if they were to go ahead and hire him right away. So maybe that's something that could potentially happen down the road. But I just think at this particular moment, particular time, it'll cause so much quote unquote outrage that if they actually try to go ahead and get him to come to DC, I just think that you'd have so many issues with it at this particular time. Even though Megan, like you say, that ideally, he could make the switch. He could definitely, he definitely has a talent and everything else. And I'm sure they could create a character, whatever it is for him. But I just, at this particular time, I just don't think, like how you guys was kind of say that in Aunt Lie, and I think Mel was saying like almost like the ritual type thing. Who knows? This could be just the first part of him actually, the embarrassment and everything else that he has to go through. Who knows how many different steps and everything else they got to, bring him down as well too. So I just, at this particular time, it would really be hard for me to see him, next year sometime signing with DC. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just think at this particular time, I think it's gonna have to take some years for this to kind of die down somewhat. And then I think after it dies down, and potentially, like you say, I think maybe doing smaller roles and everything else on the independent circuit and everything else like that. But in terms of getting a lead role and being one of these major studios, I just, I would just kind of have to see it to believe it, because I think that I think there's going to be some issues behind that. But that, that's just my personal opinion. I hope that, I hope that they go ahead and let him bounce back the same way they do all these other people as well too, because I remember when Mel, and of course it was nothing criminal, but when Mel Gibson was saying some of the stuff he was saying back in the day or whatever, people talk about Mel Gibson would be, he would be permanently barred from Hollywood and stuff like that. And of course we saw that wasn't the case when you had the guy from, and like I say, even when you had Sean Penn and Madonna was the glamour girl of entertainment in this country, and they were talking about how bad he did her and how he abused her and this and that, whatever. Sean Penn was still able to go ahead and bounce back. But of course, we know Sean Penn was also white as well too. So, even though Madonna was who she was, Sean Penn, he was never the star globally that she was, but he was able to go ahead and and bounce his career back as well too. So I just, I would have to. I'm going to kind of take the wait and see approach about that. But go ahead, Black. I'll let you get something in before we go ahead and get it to Rella.
Yeah, I just did a quick search, and so fans are already calling for him to be the next Green Lantern. So, sometimes the fans have a say, and they can pressure, and the DCU is much darker. Most of their characters come from, this deep psychological trauma, and so, it may fit into their brand, and because Marvel tries to be super clean-cut, Captain America, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. If the fans push for it, it could happen.
Thank you, Black. I appreciate that. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, so Lovecraft Country definitely was a good show. The first season, I watched the first season, same as I think was it the War of Gods? I'm probably saying it wrong, but I think Lovecraft Country, just like the show with the other gentleman who made, I believe it was the who had actually made that slave scene, so popular to the point where it was shared around social media. Lovecraft Country touched on slavery, and it touched on like the kind of the magical sense of Black families and voodoo and things like that, and how even like spirituality and stuff like that. And so it was bringing out, I think it was mixing a narrative of some truth in the South with the narrative of how Black people were treated. And just like the War of Gods, and I'm probably saying that show wrong, the name of that show wrong, it was canceled. And I think they tried to say it was canceled because of budgeting, but I don't think it was budgeting. I do think it was because, again, white people cannot stand to see themselves being depicted as demons. And they don't want you to see them as demons. They want you to see them as, again, they want to be the heroine, the villain, the extras, as well as probably the props in a movie. And when we make movies, I think when you have movies full of Black actors, Black American actors that do really well, they tend to cancel the show. So I'm just putting that out there. But Lovecraft Country was a hell of a good show. I'm kind of mad how it ended because they were trying to rush ending the last season. But anyway, with that being said, the mere fact that Jonathan Majors, again, I think utilized his E.T. phone home, a Black woman, again, Kate. It goes to show you, and I think Black women deserve our respect, even if the optics look bad, for the protection that we do provide, for the level of love and compassion we still do give, irregardless of how I think society and some people try to portray Black women in all areas. At the same time, I think that when he recovers, and I'm saying when because if he does not learn from this particular lesson, there's many more to come as such as life. But at the same time, does he deserve it? Who's to say what he deserves? But consequences you have to live out, right? So hopefully, we'll see what happens with him. I am an anime and a geek in regards to Marvel and DC. I don't know how much more I'll be watching Marvel after this, but I will say, as far as Green Lantern, John Stevens, Tyrese, I think he had put it out there. He wanted to play the Black Green Lantern, but if it is that Jonathan Major does get the role, he would be a good actor for it too as well. So I can see that happening. But anyway, I'll land.
All right, thank you, Rella. None swirl zone. What are you talking about, dude? None swirl zone. Talking about Black women want to be white women. Megan is a perfect example of this one.
Oh. If that was true, if Black women wanted women to be white women, then more black men wouldn't have a problem with dating black women who have a problem watching Kevin Samuels. So,
Kevin Samuels come. Okay. I shouldn't even read that comment out. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even read that.
I'll say this to the man that spoke.
Who's speaking real quick? I don't know who's speaking.
He called me a ma'am. Hey, Juno.
Okay, Juno, real quick, because we got Robbie and Mel. I got to get to them.
Happy birthday, Rella.
Thanks.
So, my question is,
Juno, you low too. You low, so get.
I'm sorry, I'm very soft spoken. How do you feel about black men who sort of use black women as props when they get in trouble with the dominant society, and then once the dust is settled, they dump the black women as if, hey, I don't need you anymore? What do you feel about that kind of behavior?
Well, I mean, I think you said it earlier. I don't even have think of it as if it was your mother or your sister. You should that is like a given answer. That it hurts. It hurts. It's one of those doormatting type situations where it's almost like we're good for the lay, we're good for the slay, and we're good for the protection, but we're not good enough for the commitment, the love, and the covering enough for you just to want to just on GP. So again, I think the willingness that black women want to give black men and the black family, the covering and the love, is always going to be there. But I do believe that there's a level of respect for the womb of the black woman and the existence of black women to remind black men, you can't have a black family without a black woman. Period.
Get in the Jumbotron, get in the chat. 42.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to Robbie, and I'm going to get to Mel. Go ahead, Robbie. Unmute your mic.
Peace. Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. This is a great discussion. I won't get involved in the previous discussion because I don't want to lose my point. Initially, when Black Majority State was speaking, I remember when these accusations came about. I hope y'all understand the two major movies that he was in. I think this was all about making the Creed movie that Michael B. Jordan was having his directorial debut tank, because when that movie was first released, it was doing very well with pre-sales, and it was on a trajectory to beat the Rocky franchise. And Sylvester Stallone and some of his little cronies were really salty because they kept saying, well, why aren't you in this movie? He said, well, they wrote a story that didn't involve me. So there was no white hero. There was no white savior. I think Michael B. Jordan did an excellent job, and what they were trying to do was sideline what that brother was doing. Because, again, Marvel already did the We Are the World and allowed the brother direct, Black Panther and all that. So this wasn't about, in other words, Michael B. Jordan had a coon-proof plan. Even though sometimes, you could criticize his dating practices, I think he's more airtight and seasoned than Hollywood. Whereas this other brother, that's where they were able to use him. So it would be a sleight of hand so they could get a twofer. They're like, not only are we going to, hurt the trajectory of your career, but now if we hire you back, we can get you for the cheap. Because, in other words, we humbled you. You lost your Marvel role, which I think that was really messed up. But mainly it was about the Creed IP, because Rocky, Sylvester Stallone used to have the rights to that, and he sold it, like in the 80s, and he's been really salty about it since then. White folks don't like to pay reparations, and they don't like to use IP, and he feels like he put Michael B. Jordan on, but Michael B. Jordan's like, hey, man, they're giving me the option to direct, and pretty much that franchise is like taking on a life of itself. It has nothing to do with Sylvester Stallone, and I thought that movie was very excellent, Creed 3, but unfortunately, this kind of took away some of the fanfare from it. And also, they depicted the brother's character in Creed as a brute, you see? So that didn't help either. So it's like, I'm telling you, man, these people are very clever what they're doing. That low-budget white trash Barbie was not, she wasn't even smart enough to put this together. They're opportunists. They took advantage of this. I'm pretty sure this brother could have probably had something else in the background going. See, that'll also hurt him moving forward with the Creed franchise. They just want to put a monkey wrench in it so they can say, hey, well, now you got to bring Sylvester Stallone back to get Creed back on track. That's really what this is all about. But I'm really disappointed with what Disney has done, because they always cower to these white supremacists and these feminists. Even with Star Wars, they were going to make the brother have a hero role in the original Star Wars, the one they were rebooting, but then they started making him a buffoon to appease these white supremacists. So the white feminists are not our friend, and I'm really tired of these beta male white supremacist males that always want to talk about per capita and whataboutism. But I will say this. Statistically, black men tend to not date interracially. That is just something to think. That's another thing that's a piece of propaganda. And you do have black families that are together. It's just we're just loving people. I just really think, even if you think about it, you said the brother was in Lovecraft country and all that. I think what happens is when you start working in Hollywood, or you go in the military, or you go to college, we typically don't discriminate against other people, but that's why it's important for us to be educated and understand the legacy of race in this country, because their racism comes in waves and droves, and right now, since they're facing genetic annihilation, they would love to make you as a scarecrow and as an example. So we definitely need sanctions on these Beckies.
All right, thank you, Robbie, and I agree with what you're saying too, because a lot of times people take statistics, and most black men, majority of black men are married to, the ones that are married to black women. Most of them have black families. Most of them date black women. Is there some? I think a lot of times people see and the crazy thing is people see people in sports and entertainment, in Hollywood. And we're always told, as a kid growing up, hey, don't worry about trying to be a movie star or a ball player, or whatever, because only a small percentage of people actually make it to that level. Well, that goes two ways. The small percentage of people you see on these sports teams and in Hollywood with white wives and everything else, well, that's a small percentage of Black America. That's not the vast majority of Black America. So when people always say, well, every time you turn on the TV, what is it, like one out of a couple 100,000 people actually make it to the NFL and the NBA and things of that nature?
Could I respond real quick to what you said? And I'm not trying to cause controversy. Maybe we could have this as a space another time. Have you ever considered that the black men who date interracially are not honest? I don't want to say the low-hanging fruit. They're just not the black men that necessarily black women want, at least in their area or whatever. Because I can honestly tell you, like that gets into a whole that gets into a whole nother issue. But it's like I don't think black women are sitting here tripping off the brothers that are dating. You know what I'm saying? Like some white woman that they don't want. You know what I mean? That there's plenty of brothers that will date black women. You know what I mean? Now, if you're somebody who's becoming red pill and out here criticizing black women and bringing up stereotypes, see that's somebody doing something for views and doing slander. But typically speaking, I mean, that's how I look at it. Sometimes when I've seen some interracial couples, I'm like, damn, that was a sister that nobody was really checking for. You know what I mean? Or that's some teller that hate black men and this, you know what I'm saying, it's on whatever. And, and this is coming from somebody that they may argue was a We Are the World reform swerver. Because I remember, I forgot, Sister Aeon, she made me laugh once. She said, I'm not the Ayatollah of swirling. Because I had told her my ex-wife was Mexican, but I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, there's some sisters I know that are drop dead fine. If I see them with a nigga that's 6'5" and up, I'm like, hey, I'm a run in the litter. She, you know what I'm saying? She wants somebody, you know what I'm saying, that's super alpha. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to say that. So I'm not going to criticize black women's dating preferences. We should never be insecure about our status in America because they put us in positions where we only have 1/2 or 1% of the wealth. So sometimes to conform, they kind of pressure you. You don't even know if they sent that white woman to their brother. Y'all don't think so? And this was already a play on long term? Trust me, these people are very conniving and calculating. They will take your good-hearted nature and turn it against you. Why do you think you have Oprah and some of these other people stay quiet when they know they have a lot of influence? And they kind of push this whole Me Too thing. I'll land my plane there.
No problem, Robbie. And like I said, I want to say that, the vast majority of black men, like I said, they're married to black women, they date black women. And the same way, growing up, people used to tell you, like when you was a kid, you say, I want to grow up to be a football player. And your parents would correct you like, hey, say something else. Don't say that, whatever, because only a small percentage of black people or people in general actually play professional sports and entertainment and everything else as well, too. So when we're seeing these people on TV, the average, when I walk on the street and I see black men with women, half of them not with white women. Despite the actual stereotype that people want to go ahead and say this, all black men only date white women, and they date all. The vast majority of black men I see on a day-to-day basis, when I'm at the store, when I'm walking the street, when when I'm dropping kids off to school or whatever, they're not with Asian women, they're not with Hispanic women, they're not with white women. And that's not to say that you don't have some, but the vast majority of them are with black women. So, the whole stereotype that, black men don't do anything but, date outside their race and this and that or whatever, that's just not true. And people, and somehow, some way that's become the actual truth for a lot of people. And that's just simply not true. Black men, for the most part, are married to black women. And that's just how it is. And that's not to say that every black man in the world or every black man in America is married to a black woman, but the vast majority of them are married to actual black women. Just like the vast majority of black women that's married are married to black men. The vast majority of white men that's married are married to white women, and Hispanics and Asians. That's not to say you may not have a group, a particular group that may date outside their race more than others. But like I say, the vast majority of black men in this country are actually married to actually black women.
I want to respond to that right quick before I let everybody else.
Wait. Juno, no. Hold on, Juno. We got to go ahead and get to the other speakers because I let you speak a second ago. So let me go ahead and get to Mel, and then we'll go ahead and Rel, and we'll get back to you as well too. But go ahead, Mel.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Juno. I'm just playing with you. So I think the very main thing that I wanted to say was that it's the mental health of Jonathan Majors is what's really critical here. For him to send that text message to the girl, talk about, he was ready to, he was having ideations, or he would commit that. That's the thing that makes this entire situation egregious, because we don't know, after this nickel and dime conviction now has come down, this ruling has come down, we don't know what this man's going to do. And then when you look at the picture that Black unearthed, it's like, man, I wouldn't be shocked if we did get some news like that. And the other thing too is with Megan Good, clearly she couldn't have been intertwined in even the friendship while Majors was dating I think Robbie called her Barbie, Trailer Park Barbie. Where is the Black woman influence at all anywhere in that? Because even a Black woman friend would have told Jonathan Majors to run, not after he tried to put the girl back in the truck, but they would have been done told him to run. And when it comes to Madonna and Sean Penn's daddy was a bigwig in Hollywood, Leo Penn. So that's probably why he was able to withstand the crap that Madonna tried to put him up under in the beginning. But one thing Juno said, I did want to get to this real quick, where Juno was like, well, you got to bring the people. Maybe it wasn't Juno, it could have been Sam or whatever. Whoever said, ask these 4 questions, blase scoop, what you going to do about the racism if we have kids. First of all, the truth of the matter is Black people will go to a white family's home, and the white person they're dating knows that their parents are racist, but they'll let the Black person come there any damn way. And they will avoid the entire topic of race and be like, I told you my parents, they're like that. I mean, we've got to stop playing games with ourselves. We have to stop playing like, I think I would have more respect for Jonathan Majors if he wound up with this trailer park and realized what she was all about, and you went and got you a different, better white woman. Because for a white woman, is what you like is what you like. But it's the whole let me jump over here to the Black woman thing that I just can't get over, and I just don't understand why. That's the part that all of that's just all disturbing. And so I just hope Jonathan will get his mind right, whether he decides to stick it with white girls or, wake the hell up and get with a Black woman, whatever he decides to do. I just hope he gets his inner self together, so we're not reading bad news that was brought on behind, Hollyweird and this weird looking trailer park
street chasing a big tall black man down. I mean, just ridiculous. It's all in.
All right. And I want to read a question real quick. None Swirl Zone. He says, Newstoter, name me 2 wealthy black men who have black wives. Wealthy, go ahead. Respect. You got Magic. You got LeBron. Those are 2 black. Denzel Washington. Those are 3 wealthy black men. They got black wives right there. None Swirl Zone. Let me go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, Robert Smith also had a black wife before he actually got with the white woman he was with, and he's a billionaire. He had his black children with a black wife.
The same that might
Robert Smith, that's the billionaire.
With the Christian guy. That same Robert Smith that might be accused of messing over Christian. What you call it?
Yeah, yeah, that's because we don't know what went on with that dude. So yeah,
this is the billionaire. I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
That's what she's talking about. Robert Smith, the billionaire. I've seen people throwing. I've seen people throwing that stuff up on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff. And until they come out with something, we definitely not gonna go ahead and put that out there. But go ahead, Rella.
I'm just saying. Like, again, people like to try to make points to say, okay, well, a black man, again, is not successful unless he's with another or other. And I don't believe that is true. I don't even believe that Kanye West had to create the Dropout song. I think it was a psychological thing that, again, another group of people just like to push those narratives. And then somehow, we take it on and we start acting out in the collective those narratives of, okay, well, they said in order for me to make it, I got to get with the other and drop, the people that are in my community, or drop black women in our community. I think I agree with Mel, Jonathan Majors having to play, psychological jump rope and hoops to be with someone else just so that he can keep his career going, or his personal life the way it is problematic. Because if you are with someone and you got to play, let me play the black man in distress, and white women cover me because without you I can't live. That's a psychological warfare. That's another point of something that we need to be bringing up. Again, the people around you should not make you feel, as a black person, a man or a woman, that you have to jump through psychological hoops in order to be with them and for you to actually be protected. So, with that being said, again, also I wanted to address what Robbie was saying about, black men who swirl that, black women possibly wouldn't want them. I don't think that's true. And I'm a black woman. I think that what happens with us is that you have particular type of women who we just don't be caring enough after a while. And it's not that we wouldn't date those particular type of men, even though you have men who say that. You have men who say that. You have some women who are on podcasts parroting those things, but you don't know that for sure. And I can truly say that when you meet someone, you don't know who you're going to allow in your space and what time they have, because nerds and geeks, trust me, they have the best. I'm going to leave it right there. But at the same time, you don't know what a person can experience with someone who might not be a Jonathan Majors coming out of Creed with the body he had in those magazine pictures. I'm just saying, sometimes intellectual men who are able to build with you and build dynasties or build economically, those can become great men. I just don't like it when men try to think or speak for women, black women, about what it is that we would date and what we wouldn't date. And I don't like black women who try to parrot black men who say those things, because you really don't know each individual black woman's experience and what we would do. And I'll land there.
All right. We're not going to keep the space open too much longer. We're going to get to Juno, and we're going to get to Robbie. Non-Swirl Zone. I know you're saying that some of the wealthiest black men in the country are married to non-black women. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that the majority of black men in the country are married to actual black women. And I gave you said name a couple. I named a couple of examples. You also got Jay-Z and you got Beyonce. They're married as well too. So I mean, there are a lot of wealthy black men in this country, and maybe they may not be mega wealthy like Byron Allen, like you just mentioned or whatever. But you got a lot of black men that are well off, doing well for themselves. That have black wives, black families, and everything else as well too. So I'm definitely not gonna get into a competition with you or whatever. But just off of the actual statistics, like I said, most black men are married to black women. I'm gonna let Juno and Robbie go ahead. I'm gonna give you guys about 3 minutes apiece, and then we're gonna be closing this space out for the night. Tomorrow night we'll be doing a space tomorrow night on the actual Navy Federal, Rudy Giuliani and the actual Pope blessing same sex, giving his blessings so the actual other priest can actually bless same-sex marriages. I don't know how that goes about this end, and he doesn't actually approve it, but he gives his blessing. So I don't know, but whatever. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. Juno, go ahead, 3 minutes. Then Robbie, 3 minutes, and we're gonna be closing it out for the night.
Well, it's been a great show, but I did want to respond to the comment someone made earlier. You are correct, but they don't like to show, and when I say they, I'm talking the white supremacists in the area of entertainment. They say a black male, black woman, black man couple, they don't sell. People don't want to watch that. So that's what they say. So that's the reason why you don't see those couples like you should see them. But I think this whole interracial propaganda, the interracial con game, is a book that I read. They're going to push this even more, even though out of all the marriages.
Not to cut you off, Juno. You were saying that you're saying black couples don't sell. What are you talking about in terms of commercial or just what anything?
Like there's a few commercials you do see a black couple in, but as far as movies, the white supremacists say that when they do the international distribution, the audiences do not like to see a black man and black woman together. It doesn't sell well in their industry. Now, out of all the marriages in the United States, only 1% of those marriages are between a black man and a white female. 1%. So what they're doing now is putting these smaller numbers of people up front and making it look as if, that's the society. It's propaganda. It's major propaganda. And I saw this coming when I read this about a gentleman named Nicholas Nassim Taleb. When he said the minority of people, it's really minority rule. Minority rule is when the minority can get, let's say in some cases, less than 1%, 3%, 4%, until they get the majority of people to bend to their will. This is really what's happening now with this interracial propaganda. They're using these couples, putting them out front, and saying, "Hey, you now can sell breakfast cereals. You now could, sell our vehicles. Now we can have Disney cartoons about you, where it's a black man raising 2 white children from a previous marriage."
Juno. It
Yes,
was
ma'am.
the Cheerios commercial. I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And that actual girl was actually a product of that tragic arrangement. And there was a big uproar about it. So, I mean, this they're going to continue to push this, and because they really don't like homogenous couples. Because, okay, black man, black woman, you're normal. That's normal. There's nothing sexy about it. White man, white woman together, that's not sexy. There's nothing cute about it. It's mundane. So they need something new to sell. And that, to them, is where they're getting their bread is buttered. Even though outside it's not true. But if they can continue long enough, people start to actually say, well, maybe if I get those type of relationships, maybe that can be me. Just a theory. And I'll land my plane.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead real quick. Juno, I'm going to say this right here. And this might not have been movies, but it already showed you, the Cosby Show showed you with the actual black family and stuff like that, that they could sell with a husband and a wife. We also saw it on Family Matters. We also saw it on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hell, we even saw it in the projects with James in Florida. So, we've seen it on Coming to America. We've seen it on a number of things or whatever. So that's just pretty much an excuse right there. I'm gonna go.
It's many years ago. It's many years ago.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but we still got a basis that this is something that could actually sell and actually work. So they can sit there and say that whatever it is, but we've already seen that it's already a proven track record that if given the actual opportunity, it could sell. Let me go ahead and get to Robbie. Robbie, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace, family. I'm gonna make it brief. What Brother Juno said, because I think if you think about it, compared to what you said about the Cosby Show versus the propaganda that they spun with Power and even with Empire back in the day, it's like you see a black couple together, but then there's always some drama. There's always some manufactured dysfunction. They want to show anonymity between the black man and the black woman, and then now that we kind of understand in this age of just reasoning and consciousness, we understand the legacy of the feminist agenda and what they've tried to do. And that's why, let's say, even if they sold us on the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Martin Luther King, We Are the World type deal, right? Because that's kind of how the world was in the late 90s, early 2000s. They were trying to, quote unquote, push past a post-racial society. But if we tell the truth, then that's why I'm a stickler on this when I engage with suspected white supremacists. White supremacy is always the elephant in the room. And sadly, let's say you do have a handful of situations where you have two people who don't look alike, but they do fall in love. I hate to say it, hatred is too strong. And the majority of the backlash you're going to get is going to be from your white counterparts. It's never really the black community. The black community may let you know they don't approve, but we're not hateful people in nature. Like, people ain't about to mistreat a biracial child, right, in your family. Most of the time, the black women will be very loving because they'll be like, Becky don't even know how to do this girl's hair. You know what I'm saying? That's usually the litmus test. They'll be like, I'm going to see if you halfway love my brother by where you choose to live, if you stand up to your family. But I'm going to tell you right now, see, with them, this is the thing that's the linchpin why you won't see too many interracial dating anymore. With them fearing genetic annihilation, and with the rise of these feminists being able to become feminazis and be snowflakes and just basically be Carolyn Bryant, I think you'd be a fool moving forward with this rise of Nazism and fascism to even date a white woman, in my personal opinion. I think it wouldn't be good for you. And Sister Love mentioned the psychological hoop. She's exactly right. And this doesn't pertain to myself, but when I think to some of the people who are really outspoken against black women who have been in interracial relationships, the psychological mindset that I think it's fear. What it is, either some people have been through some trauma and been broken, maybe not physically, but mentally, or they get enough money and they're afraid because they don't want their children to be targeted. It's almost like the same paradox with these immigrants who come here. The reason why some of them will cape so hard for white supremacy is because they don't want to be targeted, because white people have gone out of their way to broadcast to the rest of the world that black is associated with a other than. So everybody wants to have a close association to whiteness. And sadly, there's some brothers that it's fear. It has nothing to do with you, black woman. It's fear that they're like, you know what? I just don't want my child to be targeted. And I think people should be honest, because everybody else will gaslight us and say racism, white supremacy don't exist. I'm here to tell you it does. It don't matter if it's Hispanic, if it's Asian, or if it's white. You still got to deal with the family. You still got to deal with the culture. And depending on what the cultural norms are, they'll turn up the heat and they're going to make race an issue. And you're going to always have to deal with it.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. Let me give a shout out real quick to Stephanie for her contribution on Cash App. Stephanie, you're going to be the last speaker for the night, because then we got to go ahead and close this out. So go ahead and get it in real quick, and we're going to be closing the space out.
Okay. Salute to you guys. Salute to the entire chat. Hello, everybody. What we witnessed today was another case of white man's justice, black man's grief. We see this all the time throughout the court systems in the United States, especially if a person is in an interracial relationship. Okay? New York City is known and notorious for a lot of false convictions. Okay? Second to Chicago, or maybe first, not sure. But there are a lot of convictions. So come to find out, 25, 30 years later, these guys been in prison for all these years for no apparent reason. And it's cases of, well, this person looked like he stole my backpack. Khalif Browder, okay? Exonerated 5, okay? The book author, Upstate New York, who accused a black man of raping her when she was in college. She wrote several books behind it and got rich and famous off of it. And this man spent 16 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. It's breaking our black men down, okay? And black women in a lot of cases as well. So we have to fix those issues, and we got to get people just like us in these systems so that we can get these laws turned around. Now, as far as the interracial relationships is concerned, I remember the story that I heard about, I think it was Eartha Kitt, when she was in a relationship with, I think it was Harry Belafonte. And Harry Belafonte, she was in love with him. She wanted to marry Harry Belafonte, and he turned her down. He told her no, because he felt like his career would not advance if he wasn't, if he was with a black woman. So after they broke up, he went and married the woman that he wanted to marry and had children. And we also got to look at the fact that a lot of our people were judged by the color of our skin, our hair texture. So a lot of them said later food, I want a kid that has beautiful hair, I want light skin or that exotic complexion that they look for, those exotic eyes. So we have to look in that aspect also. And also, it was another case where I do surveillance cameras. Like I was so good at my job that I've actually worked on a high profile case involving a famous rapper, his understudy. So, when you're dealing with surveillance cameras, it takes a lot out of you, and it takes a lot of work. You have to view the camera like at least 100 times just to make sure you have the right angle, the right frame. If that's actually the couple that you see right there, the time, the date, everything has to be in the point. So, in situations like that, you have to be mindful, you have to be careful. He just got the wrong end of the stick. I think he's innocent. No couple is perfect. Yeah, they showed him throwing her up in the van, but he's literally trying to push him off her. If you really look at the camera, he's trying to push her off her. He's trying to restrain her. You didn't see his arms in the air like he was wailing on her, like he was hitting her. He was trying to push her off it. And as you can see, when he got out of the van, she's latched onto him like a chain, a ball and chain. So I know at that moment he regret the day of ever, stepping in a relationship with somebody like that. Apparently that person is mentally unstable, and they should not be in a relationship with anybody, but they need self-care. And that's the purpose of situations like that. We just need to take the time and just evaluate the person that we're with. Am I sure I want to get into a relationship with this person? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this girl or this guy? Because some people the signs are there. It's just that a lot of us just tend to overlook warning signs until it's too late, or until we like 2 or 3 kids in. So, my message to everybody in there is, if you're in a relationship and you're not sure, you better do some evaluation and try to get out of it, or see if you want to stay in for the long haul, seek counseling. That's basically it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate you. I know you was able to get in towards the end, but DJ, you want to say something real quick in 2 minutes or less?
No, I'm dumping the jumbotron in the chat. I ain't getting no responses. They already know what it is.
So that's what it is, guys. Like I say, tomorrow night, join us. Rella, she's going to be going in, sharing her experiences with Navy Federal as well, too. And like I already mentioned, the topics we're going to be covering tomorrow night, guys. So catch us at 8 o'clock on Twitter, 8:10 on YouTube. Appreciate everybody for coming out. Thank you guys for a really nice conversation tonight about Jonathan Majors, and we'll keep an eye on the brother's career to see exactly how things turn out. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Y'all have a safe a safe night. Be good, and we'll check you guys out tomorrow night. So peace.
Space 42, 42.